Massive update for the Ripple and XRP community as the world's largest custodian bank, BNY Mellon, is exploring the idea of allowing tokenized deposits and blockchain payments. And during today's episode, we're going to show you the undisputable connections between Ripple, the company, and BNY Mellon, the world's largest custodian bank with over $60 trillion in assets under management. We're also going to show our listeners how the XRP price chart could be doing something very similar to what Tesla did back in 2019. After trading below all-time high for over 7 years and a lawsuit by the SEC, it was in 2019 when the lawsuit was resolved and the Tesla price chart was off to the races. Well, here in 2025, the XRP community is approaching a very similar moment, and we're about to show our listeners how everything changes in 2025. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Good Evening Crypto, your favorite crypto news related channel. If you enjoy this content, smash that like button and subscribe, as you're going to get an update every single day, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to start off this episode right here as the world's largest custodian bank, BNY Mellon, who has $60 trillion in assets under management, is now exploring the idea of tokenized deposits and blockchain payments. What would this mean? This would mean a Ripple banking partner is officially adopting blockchain products. And during today's episode, you're going to see many of the connections that we've been highlighting for years here, connecting BNY Mellon to the XRP ledger. And when people talk about all the money in the world, ETFs have taken a large part of that discussion, but it is the modernization of the current banking system that's really going to change the game for XRP investors. Now, starting off this episode, I want to highlight the connection between the Ripple business model and what Swift is already doing today. We've showed a quote from Brad Garlinghouse on several different occasions stating that he believes the XRP ledger will absorb 14% of Swift's daily transaction volume by the year 2030. Well, doing some simple calculations, Swift does $5 trillion a day. 14% of that is $700 billion worth of daily transaction volume. But when a former Ripple employee was asked about the mission of the company, he stated, "We're not going after Swift. We're solving a much bigger problem." Here it is.
Well, I think we have bigger ambitions than replacing Swift. So remember, to move money internationally, there's two components. There's the messaging component, but then you actually have to move the funds. That's not what Swift does. Swift only does the messaging. So they help banks communicate with each other around the world, but the settlement is done out of band. The great thing I think was really, really innovative about Krypto and RippleNet is that we do both.
And that's what's so exciting about the Ripple business model, guys, is that the XRP token is actually used to facilitate that value transfer. And I've done this explanation in regards to the competitiveness between the Chainlink and the Link token and Ripple and the XRP ledger. Well, the Chainlink product is based on the idea of sharing accurate data. You'll hear people reference what they call the Oracle network, which is a series of different software networks that share data and confirm it on a transaction by transaction basis. Now, what's so valuable about the Oracle network is that if you provide correct data in the Chainlink ecosystem, you are rewarded in the Chainlink token. But Chainlink's token, meaning Link, is not used to send that data individually. The big difference here between Ripple's business model is that they're directly incorporating the blockchain product in the XRP ledger to facilitate that value transfer and have utility finally entering the market here in 2025. And with Ripple onboarding all of these new products that are reliant on the XRP token, we're anticipating some major price action once utility finally enters this market. Now, anybody who's watched this show on a daily basis understands we believe utility does not kick off here inside the United States until the passing of the Clarity Act towards the back end of 2025. But when we're staring at the XRP price chart, there is an undeniable comparison between what Tesla went through back in the early 2000s and what the XRP price chart has done since 2014. Now, Tesla traded below all-time high for 2,400 days before breaking out, reaching above $20 in value, and reaching as high as $430 in value over the next 18 months. Yes, you heard that correctly. A $20 asset reached $430 after the resolution of the lawsuit, and Tesla was able to expand inside the US. Well, why does this impact Ripple investors? Because I am seeing the same correlation for the XRP price chart. We had this first breakout that lasted about 430 days, new all-time high, new lower low, lower high, long connection, and finally a breakout. We're witnessing the exact same thing here in 2025, where the all-time high was established in 2018. We had our low, the bear market, which occurred in 2020. And finally, we had our lower high, which was created sometime around mid-2021. Well, finally, the XRP community is at the breaking point where if we're able to get daily closures here above $3.60, it is going to be off to the races for the XRP community. And whether it's the ETFs, it's the Clarity Act being passed, or it's the tokenization of real world assets like we're going to cover later on in today's episode, my belief is that the XRP price chart is extremely undervalued here in 2025. If you guys agree with that premise and you think XRP is undervalued at $3, smash that like button. If you disagree, leave a comment underneath the video. So now that we understand the XRP price chart looks like it's about to break out in a way that we've been waiting for since 2018, I'm going to show you a great example of showing somebody the chart and telling you the news. The price chart looks extremely bullish. Now we're just waiting on the catalyst in order to get us there. And typically we've talked about the ETF demand. Many are anticipating $1 billion on day one. We've got the Clarity Act, which is going to bring Wall Street and all of these different companies and use cases inside the United States, enabling the use cases for currencies like XRP. Well, the major piece of that pie that I believe is being undercovered here is the tokenization of real world assets and how that begins right here, right now. So we're going to take you through the connections between BNY Mellon and Ripple going forward and what I believe the end game is in this collaboration. Now, as we started off today's episode with, the world's largest custodian bank, BNY Mellon, is exploring allowing tokenized deposits and blockchain payments. This is something that's been worked on in the background for quite a long time. And we have this Ripple connection from July that also adds value here, as Ripple selected BNY Mellon to custody the RLUSD stablecoin reserves. Now, what would be the reason for this? Well, of course, BNY Mellon is a Ripple partner, and they're also acting as the primary custodian for the RLUSD stablecoin. This partnership, which was announced in July of 2025, aims to bring traditional finance and the crypto world by supporting the growth of the stablecoin and enhancing institutional credibility for Ripple. So the entire goal here between BNY Mellon and Ripple is to bring the TradFi products that exist today into the blockchain space, leveraging the RLUSD stablecoin and, of course, the underlying network in the XRP ledger. So a couple key aspects of this partnership: the custody of the RLUSD stablecoins. BNY Mellon will hold the reserves for the stablecoin, which is a crucial role in maintaining integrity and trust. Ripple selected the largest asset manager on the planet with over $60 trillion in assets under management backing this project here. It adds a layer of credibility that we've never seen before. They also have the operational connectivity. The collaboration enables the seamless movement of reserve assets and cash to support conversions and build trust in the stablecoin. BNY Mellon's involvement also provides a significant backing and legitimacy to the Ripple and its stablecoin, boosting confidence among institutional investors. And finally, the modernization of financial infrastructure. The partnership is part of BNY Mellon's broader strategy to expand its reach into crypto and the blockchain space and modernize its infrastructure for real-time cross-border payments. And this is an aspect of the crypto market that we've been highlighting here for several years. When companies like Bank of America and Fidelity and Goldman Sachs, and of course BNY Mellon, start enabling blockchain payments and blockchain products, every other banking institution on the planet that does not support these products will be operating at a disadvantage. And a really simple example of this is that when Bank of America turns on the on-demand liquidity for the XRPL, we are going to see Bank of America become the primary transfer of value inside the United States. Now, why is that the case? Because Bank of America will be able to do something that almost no other traditional company can do. That is transfer money instantaneously and for almost no cost. And BNY Mellon is tapping into this exact same ecosystem here, but it doesn't stop with on-demand liquidity. It actually expands into the tokenization of real-world assets as well. If you believe BNY Mellon is going to tokenize assets with Ripple, smash that like button. If you disagree, let us know underneath the chat. We're going to listen to a BNY Mellon representative on stage right here talk about the power of what Ripple Payments enables and why they selected Ripple to be a partner here in the summer of 2025.
For quite a while, we've been enabling stablecoins, Circle and others. The announcement, I think, is Ripple, OpenEden recently as well. What we're really focused on is the enablement and the ecosystem. So how do we actually think about this concept? We said there's treasuries underneath. You need bank accounts, you need payments. So all of these things we do to enable the stablecoin. We sort of inside, we call it stablecoin in a box because we actually can enable all these things. And we have lots of partners around that do much of the pieces as well. And together, what's important is that this is about better rails. And I think Nathan said it as well. We really, if there's a pain point, if you will, for a client, how can these rails enable that?
So there you have it, guys. The better rails is the Ripple technology that we've been discussing here on Good Evening Crypto. And I think there's thousands of people out there who absolutely agree. But that's not where the connections end between Ripple and BNY Mellon, the world's largest custodian bank. As a Ripple board member, Sadie O'Connor was a former JP Morgan executive that left and became a board member at Ripple. She is also the chair of the board for BNY Mellon's Government Security Services Corporation. This goes to show that the same people who are making decisions on the Ripple board of directors have the same incentive that the representatives for the government and BNY Mellon have today. As more blockchain products are onboarded into traditional finance, we are going to see demand ramp up in a way that we've never seen before, quite frankly, for the XRP community. Tokenized assets, ETFs, and we did an update earlier this week discussing how Ripple is also in the process of becoming a bank themselves. Well, a former Ripple employee, Bob Way, went on to describe what the end game is for Ripple, and my belief is all of our listeners will find this useful. So be sure to stick around and let us know some of your thoughts. So when does XRP fly, Bob, and realize your vision and hopes for years ago? Well, Bob commented, RLUSD and Ripple's banking license application is the key to new value creation. The lawsuit finality is key to smoothing out that process, and I'm very bullish over the next 12 months. When you start to see Ripple talking about banking licenses and stablecoin creation in non-US countries, it will quickly become clear how the plan comes together. And then somebody else responded, as in Ripple will become a global bank with a banking license in most major countries and the RLUSD stablecoin in most major currencies, and it will all be run through the XRP ledger as a super global neobank. Bob responded, yes, almost spot on. The reason Ripple needs to become a bank is because existing banks have been too cautious to bank XRPL-based businesses. So for a long time, we've speculated on when will these banks finally make the switch, and I think this is a primary example. When Ripple receives their RLUSD stablecoin, when Ripple receives their banking license here inside the United States, while also expanding the utility and demand for the RLUSD stablecoin, these are the indicators that we've been waiting for in order to talk about some dramatically higher price targets for XRP. And whether you're here for $4, you're here for $5, or you're here for $1,000, I think we can all agree that this is an asset that has so much going for it over the entire Trump administration. This journey is just getting started. And I want to listen to Brad Garlinghouse now describe why Ripple decided to partner with BNY Mellon and what could be in the works over these next couple of years.
Announcing just moments ago that it's partnering with BNY for BNY to be its primary custodian for its stablecoin. Joining us first on CNBC, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse. That's a nice shot, Brad. It suits you well. You're looking very even presidential almost. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Good to be back on Squawk Box.
You need a custodian for your stablecoin. Why BNY?
Well, look, I think as the crypto industry has emerged from kind of the last administration where the industry was being attacked, working with the most trusted, the most well-regulated, and even the best capitalized partners is a way to continue to build trust in this system. And stablecoins at their core, by their nature, it's a dollar backed with a dollar in deposits. BNY Mellon has, for a very long time been amongst the most trusted partners out there for as a custody bank. So we're really pleased. We think it's indicative of the shift of tide where we've had headwinds for this industry are now becoming tailwinds. And I think we're going to see a lot of growth.
I mean, all the way back to that duel, I think, right? Is that Bank of New York? I think, yeah, Alexander Hamilton. It goes back a ways, doesn't it?
That one goes way back. I didn't put a number out there because I wasn't sure how many years it's been. But the BNY Mellon, we feel very lucky to be partnered with them. And we think, again, building trust for the whole industry and having RLUSD, our stablecoin, which just passed $500 million of market cap. We launched only about 6 months ago. So we're really pleased with that trend line and feel like this will only continue to build that trust.
It's small compared to some of your competitors, though, at this point. How does that factor into how you approach the whole stablecoin industry?
So the stablecoin industry is about $250 billion.
So I just have to pause it for a moment here because on screen it says Ripple will utilize BNY Mellon's transaction banking services to underpin its operations. That is a layer of credibility that no other blockchain product can claim. And I think let's continue.
Today, many people think it'll be between 1 and 2 trillion in a handful of years. The growth behind it has been profound. We joined the market kind of late, partly because we were using stable coins in our payment flows for our institutional customers. As you probably know, Ripple at its core has been a payments company and solving a cross-border payments problem. We use stable coins, we use XRP where it makes sense. And stable coins, when we were using that, we were a big part of activity for us. We were minting a lot, and we thought we can participate in this market, given our institutional background, given the fact we've leaned into compliance and been very regulated. We have over 60 global licenses to participate in these markets. So we feel like the growth ahead will serve us well as we continue to serve that institutional client.
This doesn't, you still want a banking license, right? Even though you have this deal with BNY.
Well, yes, is the short answer. We have pursued and requested application to apply for an OCC license as well as a Fed master account. We think that the key here for crypto and the kind of decentralized finance, as many people call it, Ripple has been building bridges between traditional finance and decentralized finance. The world isn't going to be taken over by crypto. Instead, we think about how do we take the best of what crypto brings in facilitating faster, cheaper transactions and bring it to traditional finance. That's been at the heart of what Ripple has been focused on from the beginning. This is a step towards that, and certainly getting an OCC license. For those that have said that the crypto world wants to be unregulated, whatever, the opposite is true. I'm here in Washington in part, as you referenced, there's a Senate Banking Committee hearing today. We are advocating as an industry to be regulated. And those that, like Ripple, who have stepped forward and said, we want to get an OCC license, in addition to the licenses we have with the New York Department of Financial Services, it only continues to augment that very robust, very compliance-first, trusted partner so that we can continue to use these technologies to benefit consumers and businesses alike.
And there you have it, guys. When you think about what Ripple's entire model is with partnering with BNY Mellon, they are bringing TradFi technologies, regular people, into the digital asset ecosystem by offering them cheaper, faster, better products or totally new products like a tokenized asset. And I think for a long time, people have speculated about XRP becoming a $1,000 coin. Well, we have to describe the realistic journey to get there. And I thought this was a phenomenal thread, guys. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button and let us know some of your thoughts in chat. This person said, has anyone actually calculated the market cap of XRP if it reached $1,000 a coin? That's $100 trillion market cap, about 100 times larger than the entire US stock market. It's also more than all global wealth, estimated at about 500 to 600 trillion. That figure would represent the total value of everything people own worldwide: real estate, stocks, bonds, gold, crypto, cash, and every other form of financial asset. So if XRP alone were worth $100 trillion, that would mean a single crypto holds roughly 20% of all the wealth on earth. Well, if we extrapolate this, as many people think we're going to get a $10,000 XRP coin at some point, that would mean if the circulating supply was 55 billion, we are looking at $550 trillion in total market cap and a $1 quadrillion market cap if 100 billion tokens were in circulation. So if XRP were to reach $10,000, its total value would surpass all the world's global wealth combined. And that's something we have to keep in mind, because my belief is we are going to see these exponentially higher price targets. And if we do ever see a triple or quadruple digit XRP, it will be because of the catalyst that we've highlighted today. Ripple's compliance first approach, the fact that they're tokenizing real world assets on the ledger, the fact that they've launched a stablecoin, and they are now partnered with the world's largest custodian bank to bring these ideas into the American markets. If you guys enjoyed this content, smash that like button, and we'll see you all in the next one.